very pleasant good evening, viewers, and welcome to another edition of Full Disclosure here on our favorite media platform, Tobago Updates. And those of you who normally join us here on the live, we have to say from the onset that we missed you. We did not have, of course, the program last week because of the plenary session at the house, but we are very glad that we have been afforded the opportunity to use this medium yet another time to have some conversations about the politics in the space, conversations with some of the area representatives, what's happening in their districts and what's happening in the division that they serve and all of that. And of course, I am your host, Secretary Terrence Baines, with responsibility for community development, youth development, and sport. And I am just very happy to be in this space and to sit in this seat yet another time. Guessing with me here tonight is my dear friend and son from the Crown Point, Bonaccord area, Assistant Secretary Joel Nutsi Sampson, who serves in the Division of Works and Infrastructure and all kinds of stuff. We had to get a video of these divisions or the name, and when we say it, we just play the video because it's hard to remember. Good night, sir. Good night.
Good night. My colleague, how are you?
I am good, and we are very glad that you are here. How are you?
I am blessed. I am blessed.
Yes. Well, we know you're a brand new father with plastic on your still. Yeah, I understand. You and the chief secretary, and so we're just glad. We know that being parents generally has its own challenges, and they don't make babies as they used to long time. Nah. You understand them? Babies keeping you up all day, all night, and so on, according to your report and the chief secretary as well, But it is just interesting to see how we manage and how you guys manage, you understand, and how we manage this thing. You have a family, you have to try and have a life, and then do public work and so on, and the demands of the public service and so on. We will get into that. But of course, in our first segment, we like to talk about what's happening, as tonight's theme is the present state of affairs. You understand? So we want to talk about what is the present state of affairs of the day, what is happening, what's in the political space, what are some of the things that are taking place, and so on. And we wanted to jump off, Assistant Secretary, with a video clip from Secretary James that was done earlier on in the week, I believe, where he was talking about some of the developments as it relates to bitumen coming from Trinidad to Tobago. And we've seen, and we'll talk about that as well, we've seen a press release, perhaps today this came out, and we'll talk about those developments. So if we could go to that video and just entertain this conversation and talk about some of the things that appears to be happening and so on, and how it is good to agitate, you understand, for that which is right, and to see some change and so on. So let's go to that video, and then we'll come back and engage the conversation.
This is another issue in a series of actions that, to me, seem to be going in a particular direction. Last Thursday morning, I received a call from a contractor who was attempting to bring a large quantity of bitumen to Tobago, as they have been doing for years, and they would turn back at the port because of this new certificate. And so he called to complain and to see how the THA can help. I reached out to the acting general manager there, and to get an understanding of what this issue was. And that was in fact her response to me. What we have, and I want people criticize me for going slowly, but I want Tobago to understand what we have. What we have is a government who engaged the MV Cabo Star in 2017. And the MV Cabo Star was engaged to move cargo, all cargo, between the islands. That was the basis for its engagement. It can carry passengers and so on as well. We have always been able to bring bitumen to Tobago. Always. On the Cabo Star, on the Gelton and so on before that. This new certification prevents anyone from bringing bitumen. I want to just focus on the bitumen now, because we are going to need bitumen to build and to repair the infrastructure consequent to the rains, just as they're doing in Trinidad. You heard the minister saying that they're going to take all the TLA from Lake Asphalt to do their repairs. They've reached out to us to buy material from Spell. In the same time, in the same week, the company that runs the inter-island transport, who reports to a minister, is informing us that essentially we in Tobago will not be able to bring, or they will not be able to ship bitumen to Tobago on the vessel. Which is the SOLA certificate which they have. SOLA certificate outlines the safety requirements for vessels that travel internationally. And whoever does this survey comes up with the after a risk assessment of so on, comes up with the certificate to protect the ship. 450 liters, for those who don't know, is equal to 2 barrels, two oil drum barrels.
Well, that is what is
450 liters. And that all together is all hydrocarbons together. So it means that if you rush down there and bought a bucket of tar to paint behind your retaining wall, and you put it on the boat, your 25-pound bucket.
Yes, right. So the reason why I had intended for us to run this video, and actually when coming into the studio, I saw what represents a press release from TTIT, which is the Trinidad and Tobago Inter-Island Ferry Service, from kind of pretty much reverting back to the original, and I suspect it is because of Secretary James's advocacy and so on and all that has happened. But more importantly though, you know, we are seeing some things, Joel, where there seems to be a mistreatment of the officials in Tobago and the responsibility that the officials have, and we've had this problem before, so this is not new to us, but it's just that it seems that the kind of noise you used to hear about it when like ministers from Trinidad come into the Tobago space and so on. We saw some things with when they install a pump down in the constituency. Yes, in the constituency of Secretary Craig, and how they invited Assistant Secretary George one day and uninvited him the next day, and these kinds of things, right? So the Minister of Transport, the Ministry of Transport, right? This is before this. This is, I believe, last week, somewhere in and around Friday the 26th, in and around that time. Okay? I don't know the exact date. The Ministry of Works sent a correspondence to the Chief Administrator that they are coming with a team to tour the quarry that falls under the purview of Secretary James. They did not do any correspondence to Secretary James, bypass Secretary James, and say they're coming to tour the quarry. So, of course, because they're breaking the protocol and so on, going contrary to as they normally do, that tour was refused, right? It is just a couple days after this, the contractor who was trying to ship bitumen from Trinidad, which is something that has been happening for years, and all and sundry knows that bitumen is a critical component to help with the road infrastructure and so on, particularly because it is more extensive coming out of the rains and so on from last year. So it is a critical commodity at this particular point. To be told that you could only ship 2 barrels, in essence, 450 liters or 100, just a little less than 118 18 gallons, equivalent to 2 barrels. Right? What are your thoughts on this matter so far? That I needed to lay that case out, and so we saw Secretary James's response on the television, and I'm seeing today now, just a while ago, what represents a press release from TTIT, pretty much saying, I don't want to read the whole press release, pretty much that they reverted to the original place. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What are your thoughts on these matters?
Well, good night again, Secretary Beans.
Yes.
I just have to laugh when it comes to some of these matters because it's clear to see that in this space, there's a lot of politics being played. And I have been saying from day one, we have to put aside the politics for the best interest of the island. If this island has to go forward, we have to forget the politics. And clearly it shows that politics has come into play with this whole situation. And thankfully for the goodly Secretary of the Division, for his clamoring and his words, his slow words according to him, you know that...
Slow but profound.
Exactly, so that some new actions have taken place, you know, they have reverted to the original decision. Because when you think of it, 2 barrels of bitumen, that can't do anything.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. But here's another thing too, Joel. Here's another thing too. I have coined a phrase in my mind. We know that the present administration is under attack. We are under attack from all sides. We are under attack from people who claim that they support us. We are under attack from the Chamber of Commerce. We are under attack from all other political aspirants. I see we even under attack now from a man who say he was an advisor to the chief secretary. Could you imagine? That's another conversation all by itself. Everybody is just attacking. It's just a free fall. Everybody is attacking the administration. The administration is not, and so on. And they're saying all manner of evil you could think about us personally and about the administration and so on. Right? So you have all these attacks taking place. But it seems to me that there's also a kind of commercial warfare that is taking place in the mix as well. So I have this other phrase, coincidence or combat. Coincidence or combat, right? So here let me put this here for the minds of those who are on the live and people could share their views and so on. That which we just mentioned, we had that happening. Okay. We've had the issue with the hotels that the assembly decided to assist with the issues with Tiantec, right? The chief secretary was making that contribution in the House about the decision made to assist about 5 hotels and so on. The decision for Tiantec to threaten disconnection of these hotels, although the hotels were not making anything because 2 years lockdown and so on. They have to pay what they call reserve capacity. And for those of you who know what reserve capacity is, you can look that up. It is a bill that you have to pay whether you use it or not, it seems, and it is something that is attached to all these commercial entities and so on. It is something that is known and a part of what in the mix. It was expected though. Now, if hotels are up and running, you don't hear nobody complain about reserve capacity and paying it because that is a part of it. Right. So you have 2 years lockdown. So it is reasonably expected that there would be some situational sensitivity that will be demonstrated.
Must have some compassion.
You understand? But Tiantec was adamant and was threatening to shut down these plants. What would that have done for the face of the economy in Tobago and so on? You understand? So you have that. Now remember, Tiantec, those entities are driven by central government. They are under the purview of a minister, And we have heard officials in Antigua and Tobago saying that it was out of their hands. That decision cannot be made by them. We've heard that more than once. So we have this happening all at once. We have that which we just mentioned, you know, about the bitumen story. We have this with the TNTech story and so on. And I am wondering, we have all this happening. I see a hardware close its doors for a few months. They say yesterday, I see that in the news, and they're blaming the THA for the closure. Understand what I'm saying? What are your thoughts on these? What I deem to be economic warfare? What are your thoughts on this? Yes.
Well, you know, it's funny that this administration has been blamed for a lot of the wrongs and the ills on the island.
Yes, yes.
Because how can this administration be blamed for hardware being closed?
Well,
so I have to ask the question, was the THA alone shopping at this hardware?
Okay.
You know, but there are certain things we don't want to go into extensively because of the sensitivity of the matters.
Yes.
But you have to think about what is happening. The same thing with TNTech.
Yes.
We have persons here in Tobago. We have managers.
Yes.
You know, and there is something you can sit down and reason and discuss, have meaningful discussion about the situation at hand. Because the lockdown, it was indeed a tough period for 2 years.
Sure.
So there was no source of income. I think we were one of the last countries to open up back after the pandemic. And as we say, we are still in a pandemic because they are here and there are new variants.
Yes.
But we cannot afford another lockdown because of what has happened. But these entities that are driven by the central government need to get their act together. Because at the end of the day, we are one country.
Yes. And I get the sense, I mean, I get the sense that a lot of persons just want the administration to fail. They understand? They want to fail.
It's clear. It's clear. The writing is on the wall where that is concerned.
They want to fail. And a lot of people feel like it have blood in the water. You understand? All the sharks. There are some political sharks that we have not seen swimming for months. We see them, everybody swimming around now. You understand what I'm saying? You know, and look like the administration is under the gun and so on. And but you know, my whole view about these things is that it depends on how you use these negatives. I mean, in our individual lives, you can face some of the most difficult situations is how you respond to that. You understand?
Most definitely.
And one of the things that I am confident about, because we have faced several hurdles since we came into this place, and we always seem to find a way to do the work that we are called upon to do. And I think that situations like these cause us to become more innovative and find a way to get the job done. Because trust me, you know, thankfully we've seen in this release that we'll be able to bring more. But if they had said that they're going to remain hard and fast and not change, we would have found a way to get bitumen. Yeah,
we
would find a way.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Of course. And I think that is one of the things that I appreciate about the administration and the leadership, the chief secretary, the mind to face every kind of challenge head on and find solutions to what we're trying to accomplish. I have a tremendous amount of respect and confidence in the team in the various divisions and so on, the work that we've been doing. So these are some of the things that's happening in the political space. We continue to face heavy criticism.
Not going back too far on what you just said, talking about the ways of being creative and innovative.
Yes.
When that first release was put out, the goodly secretary, you know how his mind works.
Yes.
So he started to think about different ways and solutions.
Of course.
You know, because that's this administration.
Yes,
we are miracle workers. You know, you give us a lemon, we make lemon juice.
Indeed.
You know, and according to your quote, God will help us, and He has been helping us thus far.
Indeed. And there's no question about that. That's not a cliche, you know. I am convinced that is so. So, I want to move the conversation along a little bit to what's happening in the district of how is it called?
Bonaccord and Crown Point.
Bonaccord, Crown Point, and so on. Tell us Joel Nutsi Sampson about, first of all, what it is like representing this district, what it is like.
Well, firstly, it's an honor to represent this district. It's filled with love, fun, business. You know, the whole atmosphere is just different to other areas. You know, it's not an easy task. Nothing is ever easy. You know, you have to work hard. You know, there are the persons that will agree. There are those that will disagree. There are the patient ones. There are the impatient ones. But at the end of the day, I've embraced this role thus far. And I have been getting things done bit by bit. You know, as they say, one cocoa does full basket.
Yes.
You know, I would have met a district with a lot of infrastructural challenges. And along with the secretary, you know, he has given me the leeway to start to deal with these issues. And, you know, we have started to treat with them. You know, we've seen attempts by those in the space to, you know, just disrupt what we have been trying to do, you know, but we continue to push on. We continue to do what is needed to ensure that we bring this island to the greatest on the planet.
Right.
You know, so
Yes. I mean, and I mean, I see your work. In terms of your, you're a young man, you know, and normally the challenge is always to be able to bridge that gap and to reach everybody, you understand? So I mean by that, you know, if you have an older man, the thinking may be only older people may want to gravitate to this man or want to work with this man. You understand? How as young as you are you able to give the kind of representation to all and sundry in Bonaccord, Crampon, which is pretty much a diverse district, the business interests and all that kind of stuff, the tourism stuff and all that.
Well, it's not easy, but, you know, I've been reaching persons, you know, both senior and the young. You know, persons gravitate toward me because I guess of my style.
Okay.
You know, I'm easily accessible. You know, persons can come to my office. We can have that conversation about what is their problem, what we can do to fix certain issues. And we work along very well within the district. There are some persons that think otherwise. There are some persons that you can't please. And the fact and truth is, we can't please everybody in the space. We can't help everybody in the space. But once we get to the majority, that is most important. You know, the others will eventually come on board when they see things are going how it's ought to go. You know, but there are persons in the district, you know, there are some young persons, you know, a bit impatient. But at the end of the day, they give me that respect because they realize I've been working. I've been trying to assist, you know. From my office, there are certain things that I am not afforded. But the good thing is, when they come for the assistance, I can direct them to where they can get that assistance. Another thing that I've been doing, honestly, the teacher can't employ everyone in this space. So what I've been doing, I've been reaching out to the businesses in my area because, you know, it's diverse. You know, there are a lot of businesses. And I've started getting employment for persons within this space. So there are options. If you are interested in a job, if you really want something to do, there's always that opportunity, whether it's private or public. And as the chief always clamors, we have to improve on the private sector. We have to strengthen the private sector and the partnerships with the private sector and the public sector. So I'm there doing that and doing a lot in the district. You know, always trying to do some little thing to ensure that the district keeps going, it keeps moving, things keep turning over, and, you know. So, yeah.
You know, I wanted to ask you, as you say that, I wanted to ask, we seem to be, it's almost like an albatross around the neck of the job situation in Tobago, where 90%, and this is no exaggeration, 90% of the persons who come to our offices, who call on our phones, send messages looking for a job, want an early morning walk. You understand? 90%. And you wonder if it's impossible for everybody to do that kind of work. Two, that those programs were designed specifically to treat with people that have social issues and so on, you understand? Society is supposed to be designed in such a way that you have different people doing different things. So you have
different categories.
Right, you have the best in the society. So what we find is what appears to be a clogging up of some of these social programs that people that don't necessarily need to be in the social program. So the people that really need to be in there sometimes are displaced and become and the state then has to pretty much take care of them because they always will need a food card, they always would need, in other words, they would always be dependent, and we are trying our best to create an environment where people can have some independence to chart their own course and so on. What have you seen in terms of response to people when they may have called you or text you and say, I'm looking for a job, and they may even preface it by saying, wow, early morning work, but you point them to a work not early morning and so on. What has been your experience?
Well, it has been mixed. You know, when persons call, you know, we have that conversation. You know, they would ask, not say, boy, I'm looking for an early morning work. And my response, 95% of the times. To be honest with you, we can't employ each and every one. There is nothing at the lower level at present. There may be some positions that are higher up. If you have the qualifications for such, you can apply. I said, if you don't, I said, there's opportunity in the private sector. If you so desire of gaining employment, I can assist you there. I said, so the ball is in your court. And sometimes the response is good. 90% of the times, persons are, all right, not see, we got to take it. You know, and I try to organize, I try to assist to see how. There are the others that would say, nah, man, I will wait till the early morning work come up.
Yes.
You know, and I wonder at times, when persons say they go wait till the early morning work come up, if they really desire of employment.
And I think that kind of perspective represents, to my mind, persons that don't need to be in that program. Because clearly they have to have some other sustenance. They have to have some other way, you know. I see something emerging in the Tobago space. I don't know, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, I lived in Antigua for some time, and it was something that was very common, where people work 2 and 3 jobs. Common. They work 2 and 3 jobs. They work in the, whether they work in the government sector, they work in the private sector, they work in the tourism industry and that kind of thing. I see that as something that is very common in the Tobago space now. What are you seeing, particularly in your district where there's a lot of tourism activity and so on? What are you seeing?
Well, Secretary Baines, as we have seen, the cost of living has skyrocketed. We are in 2023 now, and persons are still on 2013 salaries. Everything has gone up. So now persons have to be innovative. So they are looking for means and ways of bringing in an extra dollar, which is never wrong, because I remember back in my days, I used to go from hustle to hustle, because, you know, it's a good feeling when you have money in your pocket, you can put food on your table, you know, you can pay a bill or two, and the feeling of not having is not really nice. And in these harsh economic times, persons look, as we see, they say they're looking for it. You know, so it's nothing new. I've been abroad, I've seen it, persons doing 2 and 3 jobs just to sustain their families. But according, as you rightfully said, some of these persons that want some of these jobs, they don't necessarily need it. But it's just...
I think my concern more than anything else is those underprivileged persons in the society. That is my concern. Those people that are most vulnerable. And because they're so vulnerable, they are taken advantage of. You understand? I mean, I don't know in your district, but in my district, Bethel New Grange, a significant percentage, upwards of 70%, even 80%, are young women who, single mothers, at least 2 children. You know, some go all the way up to 4. You understand? And sometimes you ask them, where is the father? And they tell you things that the father not in their life, and that kind of thing, or the father may not be working, those kinds of things. The thing is that when you don't have self-sufficiency, when you don't have that kind of independence to provide, it kind of it takes away from your ability to live the kind of life that you want, and it takes away your options as well. So you find a lot of these women, especially, are very vulnerable. You understand? And that can contribute even to, you know, the amount of children that some of them have, you know. So it seems to me as area reps that we have to be exercise the kind of sympathy as we understand it.
Yeah.
Now, we have a few tricksters inside of there too.
Yeah, most definitely.
There are some people that just hustle every single area representation
Yeah,
they
yeah.
could talk about. You understand? So
But you and I can attest to that.
yes. But the thing is that what I see in my mind's eye, and we're gonna come to URP and so on in a bit. But what I see in my mind's eye for an ideal society, for the kind of Tobago that we want to build, we are going to always have people that are underprivileged. We're going to always have people that have not done well in school. They don't have all these
qualifications and certifications.
And the state has to do its best to have social programs, not necessarily with the desired end to make them dependent on the state, but programs that have a component of progression and graduation, and in other words, preparing you, capturing you where you are, preparing you, giving you some kind of skill that you can be weaned off of the program at some point. And so, but the problem that we have is that people come and stay in those social programs forever and ever and ever and ever. Amen. 60, 65, they don't want to leave and so on. So that is a thing that we have to skillfully work with, right?
That is something we will touch on when we speak about URP. Give you some insight as to that.
Right. So I wanted to just say a little more about the district, because your district is such a diverse and it's almost, because remember there was a saying at some point. We've seen some attempts at change where the new city was Crown Point.
Yeah, most definitely.
The new city was Crown Point. I mean, in nightlife, Crown Point
everything
is
is
the new
Crown
St.
Point.
James.
That's the city. Yeah, most definitely.
And I passed there, at different hours that Crown Point is pumping, and you pass up to Scarborough, and as my friend says, Scarborough like jumping dance all. So talk about being an area representative in this district where there's this major expansion. It's the tourism belt and so on. What kind of support do you get as an area rep, even in carrying out your programs to people that are less fortunate and so on from your office and so on?
Well, the good thing about my district, we have a lot of businesses. We have seen expansions where new entities are being driven, being built out, and I have a good working relationship with most of the business places.
Right.
So, there are programs that I would host. If you look back on the past here, we have the Open Arms program. We had a Father's Day luncheon, the first in my district. I did something for the mothers, most senior mothers on Mother's Day. I also went to the senior home in Bonaccord, Crown Point, and distributed some items as well when it was that. There was the inaugural Nazi Fast 5 in the district. That was a big hit that persons have already started calling about for the second coming of that event.
Yeah.
But generally, there are some businesses in the area I can call on them anytime for assistance, because I've been doing massive food drives.
Right.
Persons can come at the office, once we have restocked, and you can get something. You can get a bag with some items that would suffice you for at least a few days.
Right.
But as the old saying goes, and I love that quote, half a loaf is better than no loaf. So, I appreciate everything that those who contribute to what I have been doing within the district, the Open Arms. On that, you come, you get soft clothing, you get food, you get books, you get book vouchers. And persons from all walks of Tobago have showed up at the Open Arms, and I have told my staff, do not turn away anyone.
Right.
Once there is something there and persons can access it, let them access it, because that's me.
Right.
I have known myself to be a giving person. I would take my last to ensure that someone has some food on the table. If I can't do it, then I just can't do it. I will say I can't do it. But once I can, I try my best to assist and to ensure that persons in the district are comfortable.
Right.
Right.
Now, I wanted to go to a clip there with your presentation in the house last week, Thursday. Your maiden presentation, quite sterling, and my dad, and so on. Before we engage the other part of the conversation. So maybe we could have that clip with the deputy presiding officer and his maiden speech in the House last week, Thursday. Let's go to that clip.
Perspective. Little is much when God is in it. Something that the minority leader and the organization he represents know nothing about. 150,000 can do more than what was done for 21 years under the organization he represents. Madam Presiding Officer, the electoral district of Bon Accord and Crown Point overflows with love,
please,
for our fellow men. In fact, many of the initiatives and projects born out of my office are kindly sponsored by community businesses and generous residents. While this signals the willingness of residents and business owners to fulfill their social responsibility, it sometimes limits the amount of persons that could be impacted by these community initiatives. This funding in my community will result in greater community buy-in, most definitely encourage the already present spirit of volunteerism. Madam?
Yes. yes. I have to say, I mean, you know, it was a ripping format. Right. So we're talking about this initiative of the administration to finance the districts, starting with 150,000, and it has met mixed responses. I myself was surprised at the amount of negatives that it drew. I really did not expect that. And not just in the House, you know, some of the extensive conversation even online and that kind of thing. But for you, Nazi Sampson in Bon Accord, Crown Point, what will $150,000 at the disposal of the district do for Bon Accord, Crown Point?
Well, Secretary Baines, as you listened, you know, it can do much, you know, when God is involved. You know, there are a lot of things that we can get done with this money. You know, you're not going to try to be lavish and try to do something out of reach. It's the simple things that matters, the simple things that count, the simple things that people appreciate the most. So, you know, we have some seniors, their houses need a bit of assistance. For instance, they have leaking roofs, probably a few sheets of galvanized. We can go back to the Lenhan days. So, you know, we purchase these things, you know, I could have that discussion with the hardwares and say, hey, you know, this is what we intend to do, and give us a good price on certain things. You know, we're trying to do it for the benefit of persons to assist them, you know. And then the person, we get the fellas who would come in and we assist. You know, back in the old days, we cook some food, we have some drink, and we get work done. There are a lot of things that can be done within the district with this money, because there are a lot of simple things that persons clamor for, that sometimes you go to these social programs and there is a wait process.
Sure.
So instead of these simple things, we can now get it done for ourselves. You know, and it's an opportunity to see how we can manage, you know, how we can be transparent with this amount of money. Coming from this initiative, the amount can increase, you know, based on how we perform, based on how we produce with it.
Right. And what is available.
Exactly. And most persons would say, oh, what that could do, that can't do anything. But as our goodly friend in the house would say, the lives of poor people and Puerto Ricanians. So we now have an opportunity to help these Puerto Ricanians in some way or the other.
Of course.
You know,
and I thought the amount, you see, and I think the average area representative will agree with this, that there are things that we do in the district, and when you look at the immediacy of the work, you consider if you go through the agency, because the agency have rules and so on, and your plight today may not mean that push you at the front of the line, because there will be somebody there that have a plight as well, and there may be, you understand what I'm saying? So sometimes we have to take resources from our own pockets and just do the thing.
Yeah.
You understand? All of us do that. All of us do that, and so financing will assist us to get. Some people say, well, that is not no money, but what we are faced with, a lot of stuff, people are still still challenged with basic necessities still.
Exactly.
Basic necessities. People still need food stuff, and some parents may need a single parent may need some books for a child.
Exactly. So
a pair of
you know,
shoe.
the sports groups,
Yes,
they you know, so
you
a lot of
understand?
persons,
So,
you know,
I mean,
it would
I
reach.
just could not reconcile it. I mean, I know it have negative people in the world, but I couldn't reconcile it. And I feel that some of the things were just for the sake of trying to be negative. But I couldn't see the devil in an initiative like this. I could only see something good. Clearly, of course, because it's state funds, you would have to have the proper regime to manage the thing. All of us agree on that, and that is one of the reasons why we have not been reckless in trying to run ahead without having the proper framework for the thing to be done. But I feel that the desire of the team to see all the districts in Tobago benefit and develop, you know, has to be a noble goal.
And the thing is, we are innovators and we
Yes.
are creative in
Yes.
this administration. So we are doing things that others have not done.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
so when you don't come up with an idea, you know how the thing goes. If you don't come up with an idea, you will try your best to discredit the one who comes up with the idea.
Of course.
You know, especially when it's an idea that can reach each and everyone, you know.
Yes. But I mean, up under all the politics and all that kind of stuff, we are going to do our best when we roll this out that all districts will benefit. That must be clear. So whether you are in the district of Mr. Sampson, or whether a district in Mr. Morris, or whatever, all this is because our responsibility is to all the people of Tobago, and we're going to do that to the best of our ability. So I wanted to move the conversation a little further along. Mr. Nutsi Sampson, and talk about what's happening in the division. And you have direct responsibility over URP, and we want to talk about that, the URP program and stuff, and what URP do, and the importance of the URP program in the mix. You know, I have seen images of the work that URP has been doing in the production of furniture and different things and so on, and talk a little bit about what's happening with URP. First of all, the challenge of managing, of being given the responsibility over URP and the execution of the duties.
Well, Secretary Bain, in everything new, there are challenges.
Yes.
But once there are persons within the space, within the department that you're responsible for, you know, they are able to assist you and they are not holding back information and these things, you can get along quite easily. And since I've been there, I've had no problems at URP. You know, we get along, myself and the workers, you know. They have embraced me. They love Nutsi, they love his style.
Right.
They love how I operate, and we get along very well, so they work. As I will say, URP is the new gateway to heaven. because when you look across the island,
Yes.
URP is all over.
Yes.
You know, we have the teams that are on the beaches cleaning up, teams at parks. You know, we have the furniture workshop, which is excelling, which is doing so well, you know, which has been assisting with the school furniture program. And there are other items that persons can get. Pretty soon we will roll out a catalog so persons can place their order. You know, so you know, we have a lot in place, and then there's the agricultural sector, you know, that, you know, we're trying to, you know, revitalize, and I've had some conversation with the Secretary of Agriculture with some ideas and some input so as to how we can move that further forward. Because if we have to sustain ourselves, you know, agriculture is a key element of it all. You know, we also have the concrete workshop, you know, and then we have the construction teams. You know, we have the environment team. So URP is all over.
Yes.
You know, we have been working, and the workload has gone up tremendously since we have gotten that increase, that pittance, you know, but we continue to push on, we continue to work. Exactly. You know, there's always going to be detractors in the space that would think that it's not enough, or there's problems. There are persons that continue to say we're getting paid late. But what I was made to understand, because I like to stay on top of things, from the time I hear someone is being paid late, I contact the director. I said, what is this issue about persons receiving pay late? The last thing he told me, he said, some persons receive payment via the bank, some via the credit union, and we know how it goes when your salaries go to the credit union. It takes a bit longer to process than at the banks. I have endured this when I worked at WASA, because I had deductions coming out and money is going to the credit union. I would not check for it till about a week after, because I know how that goes. But you know, I have been trying my best to ensure that the workers at URP are comfortable. I've had meetings with them. I have meetings with supervisors indicating to them that I want no fear.
Right.
When workers are given that level of comfort, they perform at maximum, you know.
Right.
You know, it's good to reason, it's good to compromise, you know. Use the initiative at times and say, all right, let's deal with this situation in an amicable matter so that we can get the job done.
Right.
And URP has been moving mountains.
Yes.
So, you know, they have been calling and we have been assisting in a lot of different areas. Even assisting the mainframe of the division when there is shortage of manpower.
Yes.
The district superintendents, they can call on me and I would send teams to assist. So URP is the hit on the market right now. Also, earlier you spoke about creating programs for persons to be certified. So I had a vision of URP.
Yes.
Firstly, to change the name from URP to SDP, which is Sustainable Developmental Program.
Okay.
So in this now, there's an aspect of it that I wish to roll out pretty soon once given the resources. It's a training component, a training aspect.
Right.
So persons can now be trained, can be certified in whatever area that they wish to. You know, we will create a unit within it all that can help them to set up their own business and then wean them off of the program.
Right.
So what it initially was created for back then, we will now try to put that in place so persons can sustain themselves. So instead of sitting there and working for the one something or the two something a day, now you can be your own boss. You can maximize, and then you can pull some of these same workers from the URP and say, you know what, come, let's come together, form a company. We'll set up a unit that can help you to do that.
Yes.
And then when those persons are weaned off, we bring on a fresh set and we just continue and keep the program rolling, you know. So that's the idea. You know, so once I'm given these resources by the goodly chief, who is our finance secretary, we can have this rolled out and
he may be watching.
So I want him to know that we can reach more persons even in his district.
Of
so
course,
you know,
and he has a very large district.
And he has a large district.
Yes. I can't see why he will deny you.
You know,
it is in his best interest to make sure you get the resources.
So that's the direction we are headed. Also, when I was given the mandate to oversee URP and I looked at what was in place, I said to myself, coming from a union perspective at WASA, this isn't good enough. We have to do something. We have to be creative to assist these persons. So hence the reason of the increase. Also, we have put things in place. So now holidays will take effect soon, sick leave, casual leave, and these things. It's something that they, you know, so persons can enjoy it a bit more. And, you know, and the persons have reacted well. They have been working. There are teams I can call at a finger snap and they come out and get the job done. And, you know, I just want the URP team to know that I appreciate you guys. I love you. I love you for the work that you have been doing. And, you know, gratitude is a must. So I give thanks for what you have done thus far.
Right. I mean, I have had a few persons that come to the district office, and that program that you all have where persons who have the material and you send the workforce to assist them with you know, construction type stuff and so on, and that is a useful and supportive program for any community. And you know, as you were talking there about your vision for URP and so on, you know, all and sundry knows that we've been working at a restructuring of the CPEP program, which has similarities to URP and so on. And it is my intention to launch a brand new CPEP, you know, and philosophically trying to empower the workers and so on, and make it mandatory. Meaning, when I say mandatory, as part of the work week, that they have some life skills training in there, because a significant catchment area of the program are persons who have social issues and they may be deficient in some of these areas and so on. All in trying to build individuals, build people, because I realize that when you build people find a way to take their own initiatives and so on. They find a way to bring out the innovativeness that is in them and so on. So it is my hope. We are almost there. We are almost there, and that. But that which you raised a while ago about And there are some components of it. What we need to do is to strengthen it, though, because CPEP have been doing some agricultural things, and there is a group that was running a bakery up in the Lescato area, in the community, and those kind of things. So those are some of the things that we will have to encourage and nurture and so on, because we really want our people to thrive.
Yeah,
you understand?
Most definitely.
And it must be known, it must be said that the people at the lowest level of the totem pole have to be the people that you give the most attention to. You understand what I'm saying? You give the most attention to, and you try to bring them up that they would not be taken advantage of. And you and I know that these groups of people, European CPEP workers, have been persons that have been taken advantage of for different reasons, for political reasons and stuff over the years. And what we are trying to do is to give them some dignity as workers, and let them understand that you are protected by certain rules and regulations, and nobody must use you. Nobody must use you for anything outside of what you are supposed to do as it relates to your work.
Exactly.
And so on. And so I think that while, some of the things take a little longer than we anticipate, but we are heading in the right direction and so on. It really ain't easy being a area representative. It ain't easy being a secretary and all of that. The kind of personal attacks that you come under, the kind of personal bombardment that you're under, and so on. We don't talk much about that, but all of us, there are people who aim their guns at us personally. You understand?
Yeah, most definitely.
One of the reasons I remember when I decided that I was going to go into this thing, and I want you to jump in here too, because I was listening to Dr. Faith did a live check-in today, and I was just listening to her and stuff, and she was making a salient point that people feel that this is all that we could do and we have to do this. When you check the cost, the wear and tear of area representative and kind of thing, the kind of brunt of abuse that you expose yourself to, the kind of things that people say about you, the kind of names that people call you, the attack that they level against you and your family, and that's kind of, sometimes you ask yourself, is it worth it?
Yeah.
You understand?
And going back on that, yes. Sometimes I ask myself, not say all these attacks. You try your best to assist persons.
Right.
And persons tend not to understand. You try to explain it. You try to break it down in layman's terms for them. And they still won't understand, and you get the attacks. And recently I was made to understand that I was in prison. Me and the director of URP were locked up. And you hear a lot of things about yourself in this space.
Yes.
And you just have to wonder,
Yes.
What is this for? If it is really worth it, I spent 17 years at the Water and Sewage Authority. So that's behind me, that's 17 years of service. Right. You could say gone down the drain. But I came into this to assist persons, to make a difference. Because looking on from the outside, you were saying there are things that could be done differently. Right. And you want to make that change. You want to be that change. Yes. But persons just have to be understanding. They have to be patient and, be cooperative and, flow with the process, Things will get better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think that there is accentuated ungratefulness in the space, or just a few people that are ungrateful? What do you think?
You would always get ungratefulness in the place. So they say ungratefulness was done over. But
the reason I asked you that question, we agreed to assist 5 hotels, right? That were facing disconnection with TNT. Only one responded in a thank you to the administration. Only one. You remember that story where Jesus healed about 10 lepers and only one come back to say thanks.
Yeah.
And I wonder, here's another thing too. We have come under tremendous criticism and guns laid by the Tobago Chamber. Right? These 4 and 5 entities form part of that.
Exactly.
You understand? And you hear not a mumbling word about those things, boy.
This same situation reminds me of a situation earlier on up, which I will not make mention of. But according to the big city guy, you're big and you have sense, you know where we headed.
Yes,
But
yes.
persons are being assisted.
Yes.
And then when we come under attack, no one comes out to defend to say, well, that this administration really bailed us out and we are grateful, we are indeed thankful for what they have done. You know, but you would always find that within this space.
Yeah.
You know, persons just think that, you know, we have to do this. And, you know, so we have assisted, and then you see the attacks, and then you see the race card again with the attacks.
That's the next thing too. Yeah.
You know, and
yes. I thought we had dispensed with that racist narrative in this space, but we see it coming back and so on. But in due course, because we have a program that we are planning, I can tell you it now, we have a program that we are going to be doing here on Full Disclosure called the Caroni Bridge, south or north. You understand me? You understand? Yeah. We have that program where we will really delve into historically. Historically, we will see this narrative about all contracts going to Trinidad and all contracts going to East Indians in Trinidad. And so we'll look back, we'll go back and see if in truth and in fact, if it's hypocrisy, if there's any truth and so on. And the regime that is pushing that, or the voices rather, that is pushing that narrative, whether or not there is, if it's just flat hypocrisy or there is any truth to that kind of narrative. So we'll look at that and so on. But you know, I think it must be said, and people think that area representatives are not human beings. You understand? That we are these heartless creatures, the kind of, you know, the kind of thing that people say while you're trying to do the work that will benefit the entire island. And that's always, it's always a matter that is important to me, that people seem to not have an appreciation for the sacrifices that all of us would have made, you understand, to be in this position, genuinely trying to make a difference in the Tobago space. Here's what I want to ask you. Do you think that the Tobago people, in large part, wanted the change that we've been talking about? In your experience for the past year, do you see that as being a reality, or they just wanted perhaps an exchange?
I think it's 50-50. Some persons wanted the change, and some persons wanted a change of face.
Yes.
You know, because the price of progress is high. And for us to progress and to move forward, there have to be changes. You know, there are going to be some demands, there are going to be some rough roads ahead. But at the end of the day, we will get to where we want to be. Most persons are looking at their big toe currently. But I like to look down the road. Think about the vision. What do you envision for this island? How you want this island to be? Because I travel a lot. And when I go to some places, they don't have the resources that we have. But they are doing something that markets the island. And we have to start thinking that way. You know, we have to open up our minds to these things. It starts with our customer service. It starts from the time someone comes to our island, they comes off the aircraft, how we greet them, how we treat with them. That will show how we can go forward or how we will progress. So, you know, persons in this space have to be open-minded. You know, they have to think about what they want, if we want to be this way, or if we want to change for something better. You know, so I think that is the way that we ought to decide. You know, we have to sit down and decide what we want.
Right.
You know?
Right. You know, and the Tobagonian, in my humble view, is a dynamic human being. Independent, generally, you know, fearless, innovative.
A kind of resiliency from back in the days, you know. Sometimes
starting in the back of the race, but running harder than everybody else. I mean, we know for years we have been treated as a kind of second class in this union that we call Trinidad and Tobago. We see it in sport, we see it in the arts, we see it in music, we see it in intelligentsia. You understand? That we have students who leave to do tertiary education and so on, who catch the boat or whatever on a weekend, and the wear and tear of travel and the expense of travel and so on, the fact that sometimes you have to be away from your family and that kind of thing, and excel. You understand? And excel, you know. And so one wonders what Tobago would have been if we had these services, if we didn't have to depend so heavily on so much of the necessities from the mainland, well, not the mainland, from Trinidad, you understand, for our development and upward mobility. Some years ago, the late A.N.R. Robinson said in one of his orations that Tobago is in stasis. You know, Tobago is flatline. Tobago is like in a coma. And Tobago has lost its momentum. That's a few years now. And I want you to, from your observation, Joel, knowing what Tobago has produced, seeing how we are people from all walks of life excelling all over the world as an island. What are your thoughts on a statement like that? That Tobago, the Tobago that we have known from yesteryear, is pretty much flatline, let me put it that way. And so on. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, from my observation, Secretary Baines, the statement has some truth within it. You know, because when you look, so let's say for instance, let's look at sports. For years, Tobagonians have excelled at sports on the national, regional, and the international scene. But of late, that there has been a steady decline where that is concerned. There are few persons that are excelling, and they have to go outside. And as you say, it's a costly initiative. You know, because in order for them to perform, they have to put out this exorbitant amount of resources. You know, and I think we have to be innovative. We have to do something to bring back that Tobago that we once had, to move that flat line to some heartbeats. So, you know, that we can get back to where we once were. You know, and that is going to take a whole collaborative effort. It's going to require all parties in the space, all political affiliations in the space, to sit in a room and decide enough is enough. Let's unite and let's do what's best for this island. That's the only way I can see us progressing. That's the only way I can see us moving forward. And as they say, unity is strength. And when persons see unity as strength, then they will give in to us. And then our demands will be met. But once there is the pulling and tugging and the division, we will always remain at that flat line. Sad to see.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, the administration is doing as much as it can and will continue to try and kind of jumpstart the thing, you understand? All these things that we're doing here, all these things that we're doing is trying to get the Tobagonian empowered, to try to get the Tobagonian to dream again and to return to the moorings of independence and pride in self, and not be dependent upon government, not be dependent on nobody, but to chart your own course and so on.
Exactly.
You know, and that is what I see in my mind's eye. My vision for the vision over which I have been afforded the opportunity to lead is to see the communities become so empowered, managing their own affairs, having a say, being the ones that determine what is priority in those communities and so on, taking the pressure off the center. You understand what I'm saying? So, instead of just always depending on the executive council, the THA, to provide something, you come up innovatively with ideas and so on. And we understand there is need for us to give some initial injection to jumpstart the program, because jumpstarting anything requires some kind of injection. It requires some kind of activity. So we understand that. But we would like to be able to understand that our aim, our desire really is to let the Tobago-ness of the Tobagonian become center stage again. When you depend on people, they control you all the time.
All the time.
Especially if it is your livelihood. You understand? And that kills your ability to dream, that kills your ability to be innovative, that kills your ability to do things crazy. Because a lot of times, sometimes a crazy act is what is required to get to where you're going to.
But so David Rudder sang in one of his songs, the chant of a madman is the only solution. You know?
Okay. Okay. Well, we're down to the final moments of the show, Joel. I think we have had a very interesting conversation, and it's really, really, really uplifting and refreshing talking with you. And so, what are final thoughts to the people of Tobago and so on, what Joel Notsi Sampson is doing and so on, and what you're going to continue to do?
Well, it's simple. What I have been doing, I will continue to do. I will continue to improve on what I have done, continue to be innovative and creative and come up with new ideas and new ways to jumpstart this Tobago, right. to give us that heartbeat that we so desire and we so need. But I just need persons to be on board, persons to be patient. Give this administration some time. We have only been there a year and we have done a lot. We have seen, persons have seen, they can see what has been done, what we have been doing. And I am asking that, you just join us on this ride, join us on this journey as we try to make this island the greatest little island on the planet. So it's good to be here. I thank Secretary Baines for calling me out, from my daddy duties.
Boy.
And it's good to be here and good to have that conversation that will move us forward.
Viewers, we want to say thanks for spending some time with us again on another session of this. Those of you, the usual suspects that are here every week, thank you for being a part of the conversation. We are very happy that Assistant Secretary Sampson could have made it to the program. I think it was a useful conversation, and I trust that you've been edified, encouraged in some way, and we continue to give a clarion call to persons to assist us, to join us on this journey to making Tobago the greatest little island on the planet. It is not just some baseless, arrogant rhetoric, but it is a genuine desire of the heart that has the underpinnings of hard work, love and concern for this space that we call Tobago. God bless you. Have a fantastic night. Stay safe. We see you again next week, God's willing, right here. Bye-bye. We go on.